Let's take a look at that. Tensions between the United States and the People's Republic of China are running high at the moment. There have been multiple encounters between both the nations' military. And recently, China's defense minister snubbed a request from the US to engage in talks on the defense chief levels in Singapore. There was just a handshake there, not much at that Shangri-La dialogue. Now, there have been two separate incidents involving an aircraft and a destroyer warship between the two countries. This within a span of just 10 days. Let's take a look at that. There was a face-off that occurred between the United States Navy vessel and a Chinese destroyer. Where did that happen? In Taiwan Strait. This happened just a day ago. This has led to a war of words between the defense ministers of both the nations. Remember, the United States had requested a bilateral meeting at the defense chief levels in Singapore, but China turned down that meeting. The war of words has escalated in the last month after Lloyd Austin accused China of increasing the number of risky intercepts. He was referring to a Chinese fighter jet performing a dangerous maneuver. Now, as per the US, a Chinese destroyer had cut across the bow of the USS Chung Hoon during a joint exercise between the American and Canadian Navy vessels in the Taiwan Strait. You can see that picture of the ship crossing in front of the US destroyer. The US said that the Chinese ship came within 150 yards of the USS Chung Hoon. The US statement said that Chung Hoon maintained course and slowed to 10 knots to avoid a collision. It further said that the Chinese ship acted in an unsafe manner and violated the maritime rules of road of safe passage in international waters. You can see those pictures there. The incident was captured on a video by a crew from Canada's Global News, which was aboard the frigate HMCS Montreal, traveling with Chung Hoon. Now, reacting to this incident, China's Li Shangfu has said that US-led military alliance in the Asia-Pacific would result in the region spiraling into a conflict. That's an important statement coming from China's defense minister Li Shangfu. He has accused the US of provoking bloc confrontation for self-interest. The Chinese defense chief said that US naval presence in the Taiwan Strait was an example of Washington creating chaos in the region. That's the statement coming from Li Shangfu. Shangfu also alleged that attempts are being made to establish a NATO-like alliance in the Indo-Pacific. Now, China's statements come a day after US Defense Chief Lloyd Austin said that any severe confrontation between the United States and China would be an unbearable disaster for the world. So those are strong statements coming from both the sides. The confrontation would be an unbearable disaster for the world. He said that China continues to perform an increasing number of risky intercepts.
I call upon the PRC's leadership to really do the right things, to rein in that kind of conduct, because I think accidents can happen that could cause things to spiral out of control. And we all remember the accident we had with one of our P3s many years ago, and in those days we were talking to the PRC, and it was still very difficult to manage that crisis. Imagine now if something happens and we don't have clear communications, how difficult that's going to be, and what could happen in the short term. So it's interesting to always hear what they say, but I think we have to judge them by what they're actually doing, and that dangerous activity continues.
Now, the incident in the sea comes just 10 days after a similar incident took place in the skies over the South China Sea. The United States accused a Chinese fighter jet of carrying out an unnecessarily aggressive maneuver near a US military jet. You can see that footage that was released by Pentagon, citing that as a proof of this Chinese jet, they were saying, came dangerously close to a US military plane. The United States military said that Chinese jet caused turbulence to the U.S. recce plane. The video shows the Chinese fighter jet passing in front of the United States U.S. plane's nose and the cockpit of the U.S. plane shaking with turbulence. Let's go across to Richard Rosso, who continues to be with us. Mr. Rosso, there are strong statements coming from both the sides, the military of both the sides, and China is saying that a NATO-like military alliance in the Asia-Pacific would plunge the region into a whirlpool of conflict. Where is all this headed?
Well, there are two alliances that are starting to build up right now between AUKUS and the Quad. You've got two formulations that are both very much understanding that China is presenting an unprecedented threat in the region, and finding new and interesting ways to cooperate and coordinate is very important. This gets termed a lot of times kind of as a U.S.-China game to those of us in Washington and many other places. But New Delhi knows it better than we do. You've got a hot war happening at your border right now. You've had troops killed, countries in your neighborhood, including Bhutan, seeing territory taken away. And that's only going to escalate and worsen over time as the PLA Navy begins to expand its presence in the Indian Ocean and build up more force presence along the border there. So I think you know as much as we do that China has definitely been the aggressor, and finding ways for these countries to begin coordinating and partnering is going to be very important for our mutual security. We need to present a strong, united front. Otherwise, China is going to be able to pick us apart. We see not just what you pointed out with aircraft and Navy things happening, but Chinese spy balloons traveling over the United States. It generated a ton of interest. New allegations now that Chinese spies were trying to get access to Alaskan military bases. So it's a full front threat that we see here right now. And partners like India, Australia, Japan, and others are going to be very important for this, whatever it turns into, any kind of a conflict or at least an intermediation.
All right, Mr. Richard Rosso, thanks very much for joining us with your perspective on this story.